I think we can start now, right?
Yes, sir. So may I start?
Yes, go for it.
Okay, sir. Where there is sterling faith and uncompromising purity, there is health, there is success, and there is power. With these beautiful lines by James Allen, I would like to commence today's session. A very pleasant good evening to one and all present here. Team E-CELL is all set to make this evening a memorable one for all the spectators. Myself, Pavani, host of today's session.
And I am Harsha, co-host of today's session.
E-CELL NIT Hamirpur was established with the vision to create an entrepreneurial ecosystem for budding entrepreneurs and promote entrepreneurial growth in the institute. By creating a place where students can access entrepreneurial resources and network with community entrepreneurs and share ideas, we hope to transform the individuals with creative minds from a set of job seekers to job creators.
Here we are with SIP pre-event to put out your curiosity about the most awaited SIP that E-CELL conducts every year. Startup Internship Program, popularly known as SIP, is organized by E-CELL NIT Hamirpur. Is an intern hiring hub for more than 50 startups and companies. Through SIP, we aim to collaborate with the startups willing to offer internship opportunity to Hamirpur students.
It's time to introduce the spotlight of the evening. Our guest, as well as speaker, Mr. Akshar Madhavaram, is an alumnus of IIT Delhi, co-founder and CEO at TIAR. He has been an ex-associate EY Parthenon and ex-project manager CSF.
A passionate researcher at the first place, often proclaimed as the epitome of entrepreneurship at IIT Delhi. He had undertaken more than 8 projects in education subsegments like testing and assessment, hiring ED, ED Tech, vocational ED, continuing ED, and K-12, and encompassing 9 plus countries across Europe, Middle East, and Southeast Asia. TIAR is a growth stage startups that aims to bring innovation in the art, sports, and entertainment industries through blockchain technology.
Thanks a
Hold
lot.
your excitement.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, sir. So you may start now.
Yeah, sure. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for that introduction. Hi guys, like they mentioned, I'm from IIT Delhi. I worked at EY Parthenon, which is a consulting firm. After that, I worked at Central Square Foundation, which is a not-for-profit organization working in the education space. After that, I started my own company, which is TIAR. It's the Indian Art Revolution. Here we work in the space of metaverse, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, NFTs. So yeah, and here I am to like discuss the same topics with you guys. So I want this session to be super interactive. So I would like you guys to like switch on your cameras if possible. At the same time, try and answer all the questions I put across, and also ask all the questions that you're curious about cryptocurrencies or NFTs or anything related to blockchain and stuff. So yeah, and let me just get straight into this. I'll just take 30 minutes of your time to just tell you a story, right, about money, cryptocurrencies, banks, governments, and then I'll ask you some open-ended questions. If you don't know any answers, try and Google those answers, but please speak up and ask me questions, right? So here I go. So, like I told you, I was also a philosopher when I was back in college. I studied philosophy more than physics, for which I joined college. So one of my favorite philosophers, Hannah Arendt, in her book called Human Conditions, she says humans usually spend most of their time on doing three things. Like one is called labor, the other is called work, and the third is called action. So labor is particularly all the things that you do to sustain your biological needs, like eating, sleeping, walking, exercising, all the things to sustain your body. The second thing is work, all the things that you do to sustain your materialistic goals, like buying an apartment, buying clothes, buying jewelry, or going and watching a show or something of that sort. So all these are your materialistic needs. And finally, action, right? Action is all about your political needs, being part of organizations, governing a country, governing a city, having control over of some population. So this is an inherent need that humans have. So you must have realized, right, all these three categories of things that we do requires help of other human beings, right? We cannot do them alone. And especially in today's world where everything is super globalized and you're dependent on other people for technology, for money, for like help. So you require help from other people. Only your family or friends kind of help you for free, but you need something else to take help from people who are across the globe, right? And that's when people introduce this concept called money. And money, according to me, is a unit of trust that propagates through time and space, right? You need some entity, some thing where you can store value, where you can use it for exchanging services and goods, right? At the same time, you would want to borrow from your future to be able to do things. So with all these characteristics and functions, money came into existence. And before that, like you all know, right, there was barter system. You do something for me, I do something for you, but that is highly not scalable. So that's when money came in. It changed humans' lives, right? And similarly, internet was also another invention. It kind of changed humans' lives. But in today's world, money and internet are highly linked because majority of the money that you use lies on the internet. It transfers in the form of data, and there are a lot of companies and entities which are handling the money for you and trying to grow your wealth and stuff. So, so I'll try and explain you some fundamental terms, right, that you keep coming across. Before I tell the exact definitions or answers, I would like you guys to take a crack at it, right? What do you think the word fungible means? Can anybody unmute themselves and answer? If you don't know the answer, you can just Google it.
Interchangeable.
Yes, perfect. Interchangeable, right? So now what do you think non-fungible is?
Non-interchangeable.
Perfect. That's right. So these are not the exact definitions, but basically fungible is interchangeable, like he mentioned. That means if you're replacing a thing A with thing B, nothing is changing, right? The value remains the same, the use remains the same, and anything else that you do, it remains the same. A and B both are interchangeable objects or things or some information, right? Similarly, non-fungible means something which is unique, right? It's not just interchangeable. The value of that thing is also unique. You can't replace it with something else. The value of that is only determined by the people who think that is valuable, right? So it's non-fungible in nature, it's unique in nature. And similarly, there are two other terms which are centralized and decentralized. Can anybody try and answer what these words mean?
Centralized means governing by a specific entity, and decentralized means the thing is not being governed by any of a central agency or central entity.
Got it. Perfect. What's your name, buddy?
Shaurya.
Oh yeah, Shaurya is already into blockchain and crypto. I know this. So because he gave me the blockchain answer of this. So I'll try and explain you what centralized literally means, right? Centralized literally is something that's coming from a center, right? Something at the center is controlling it or doing something from there. Decentralized, on the other hand, is there is nothing at the center. Everything is in the network or something of that sort. Now, if you attach a concept called power, right? Centralized power is something that is uh, where the entire power of a structure is held at a central core, right? Similarly, decentralized power is power given to all the people on the network. Now, if you add another concept to centralized, right, which is data. So centralized data is something where data is at a central location in a server owned by somebody at one physical location or at some specific point in the cloud, right? Similarly, decentralized data is data which is with everybody. There is no single person controlling it. Everybody has their own rights over that. So, so when you fill in this grid, right, and put the money concept here, you'll understand that money as a concept, it has a fungible, like not just money, anything that has value, right? Assets, that's what we call. Assets have this properties of centralization and fungibility, right? So if you look at centralized assets which are fungible in nature, you understand rupees, dollars, all these are entities which are fungible, which are interchangeable. Like 1 rupee is equivalent to another rupee which you have. So similarly, the decentralized fungible assets are your Bitcoin, Ethereum, and BNB. Right? They're again fungible in nature. One Bitcoin that you have is equivalent to the one Bitcoin I have. We can interchange them. The value or the need, everything is the same. Now coming to non-fungible assets, right? Currently, there are very little centralized non-fungible things, because in terms of the digital assets, centralized non-fungible things existed in 13th century maybe, when digital wasn't there, and people used to use gems, shells, and stones as some centralized way to store value and exchange things. But currently, if you look at the non-fungible decentralized sector, right, that's what you come to NFTs, right? Non-fungible tokens. So this non-fungible decentralized assets are nothing but your NFTs. And NFTs have been making crazy hype across all the globe. Last year, this year, it's still the most trending thing at this point. So, and some examples are your CryptoPunks, Bored Apes, and all these things. So these are non-fungible tokens which are decentralized in nature. And now, because of the properties of fungible centralization and all that, like one class is currencies and one class are like unique assets that you can buy, whose value is special, and it is determined by the buyer and seller only, and not any other entity. Now coming to trust, right? I told you money is usually related to trust. So now can somebody answer, right? Who is ensuring trust in the centralized system, and who is ensuring this trust in the decentralized system? Can anybody answer that?
I guess the whole community ensures the trust in the decentralized system, but
Yes. And
in
what
the
about this?
centralized system,
Yeah.
in the centralized system, we have to be dependent on, for example, we have to depend on maybe SBI because or because they have all our data of all our transaction. If I am an SBI bank account holder, so it's
Yes.
like an entity. We have to trust an entity.
Perfect. Perfect. So this guy, again, I told you, right? He's been reading a lot of blockchain. So yes, banks and governments, right? Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, banks and governments in the case of centralized assets, and blockchain and in the consensus protocol in the decentralized manner. And here is where the community comes into play. The community is the one who is supporting the blockchain and the protocol. So coming to the banks, right? They are the ones who hold your data sets. They store all the data regarding your identities, right? Your KYC, your Aadhaar card, your PAN card, everything is there with the banks. Then you have your service, right? The services, like he said, right? SBI cards, SBI transfers, SBI net banking. All these services are also again provided by the banks. And then coming to records, right? They are the ones who maintain your debit card, credit card, then your account details, and the ledger, right? The ledger where all your transactions are stored are usually in the banks. So now bank is basically the database of our currency in India, if you look in the terms of tech terms. And now coming to the government, right? Government is nothing but another entity which creates these rules and regulations and the institutions which see if all the rules are being followed or not, right? Like for example, they set the financial regulations, they set the monetary policy, fiscal policy. They are the ones who sets up entities like RBI and the other banks, bank licenses, some CA system. All your chartered accountants work based on how the government says they should work. And then you have your lawyers who study corporate law and understand how to make the system in place, right? So all these entities used to work together to control your money, your value, and banks were the data keepers to hold them safe. So together they worked as the data set and the rule system which ensured your money is safe, right? Now coming to the decentralized world, the same thing is being done by technology without any central human being involved. How are they doing it? The blockchain, right? Blockchain is again the same technology which acts like a data set which is keeping all your transactional details in a very safe manner. That is the one which is empowering your identity. Without your physical identity, you can have a digital identity now. That's through blockchain. Your services, right? You can do transactional services on blockchain much more efficiently and like within a blink of 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? And then you have your records, right? Your records are tamper proof, nobody can fiddle with it. It's on the blockchain. It's a block system where the data adds onto that as a chain structure. So once something goes into the blockchain, you are bound to stay there in the infinite chain which started off long back. So you keep adding things onto this network and you cannot delete anything on that. So that's how blockchain is super special and super safe. And then on top of that, similar to the government rules, you have codified rules which act like the consensus protocol, which is a piece of algorithm which all the rules and regulations, just like the banks or the governments are imposing on each other, the consensus protocol does the same thing, and that works together with the blockchain to ensure trust exists. But now the trust concept completely gets negated, because in case of blockchain and consensus protocol, it is 100% accurate. So because of that, it's binary, right? It's 1 or 0. There's no gray area. So because of that, it is foolproof. So that is why there is an entire change in history, right? It's like an inflection point in history, where we're in that decade or that century, where for centuries of years we've been relying on these entities like banks and governments, but now the same thing can be without their involvement, right? So that's a big breakthrough. And now the governments and banks are worried ki what is their use anymore, right? People will start doing everything on their own. But at the same time, banks and governments rely on this technology because this technology is superior to be safer, right? There are no, you must have seen this show of Harshal Mehta, right? Where a bank fraud happens, where one clerk just changes the number in the account book, and there is a big crisis in banking system. Why is that happening? Because there are human errors. Humans can do mistakes or scams. And similar with the rules, right? Rules and regulations, the policies. Governments can totally suck at running a country, like running the algorithm of keeping trust on the financial assets, because the petrol prices or some other policies, all of them are kind of human errors at some point in time, right? There is no codified structure which you can follow that. But in case of the consensus protocol, it's foolproof. So for many digital applications, I'm not telling all applications, digital applications, the blockchain and the consensus protocol proves to be a better technology. Now, I'll just pause here, right? I told you a lot of things. I blabbered a lot. Now I want you guys to ask me questions. Except Shaurya, I want others to ask me questions about any of these terms. If you didn't understand, if you want me to repeat it slowly, or yeah, I can do that again for you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah. Hello.
So, by consensus protocol, you mean that smart contracts?
Yes, the smart contracts, the protocols, not just the spot smart contracts, it's also the proof of work, proof of stake protocols, which are
Yes.
underlying codes of the blockchain, right? When you build a blockchain, you create this algorithm which is empowering this blockchain. So that algorithm has the data adding capacity. At the same time, it has an algorithm which uh, sees if this data is being handled properly or not. It's the verifier sort of a thing, authenticator. It's the validator. It's the node validator. That code is basically the consensus protocol. And the smart contracts are a layer on top of that. So within your blockchain or Web3, you have layer 1 protocols, layer 2 protocols, layer 3 protocols, right? So layer 1 protocol is the blockchain protocol, which is keeping the blockchain secure. The layer 2 protocols are your smart contracts, which are creating applications on top of blockchain. So that's how they're different. But yeah, your thing is right. Any other questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, recently government is trying to impose tax on cryptocurrencies, right?
Yes.
So can we see something similar with these fungible assets or non-fungible assets? Sorry.
Yeah, it is on all the digital assets. So now the tax is both on NFTs and on cryptocurrencies. It's already on both it's all sort of digital assets. So both cryptocurrencies are digital fungible assets and digital non-fungible assets are your NFTs. So now the tax is on both, the capital gains on both of them.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
Hello,
And to be
sir.
honest, that's a good thing, right? Because finally, the company I'm working in is not a mafia company. It's a real company. It's a legal company because they're taxing us. That means we're a legitimate body in the country and stuff. So, and to be honest, your salaries, right? All your dreams of getting very high packages. If you cross 30 lakh per annum, you pay 30% tax, right, to the government. So it's similar to that. If you're playing a game and you're playing a sport, right? If you win 10 lakhs in that sport, you have to give 30% to the government, right? You go win a competition and 30%, any gift or prize that you win, 30% goes to the government. So similarly here, if you're making money through crypto or NFTs, the profit may say 30% is what you need to give the government. So which is similar to horse racing, your sports, your IPL winners, your car and scooty winners. or even high mutual funds, right? All the mutual funds, if you earn more than a crore in mutual funds, you have to pay 30% tax or something of that sort, high figures. So yeah, it's a very good step. It's a first step. Now, as the industry becomes mature and many products come into place, there will be tax slabs because people will be fighting with the government or negotiating with them. कि क्यों करना है हम तुम्हारे साथ ऐसा? Will move away from India or something of that sort. So they'll bend and they'll accept, and things like that will happen. Yeah, somebody else was asking me something. I stopped you. Hello.
हेलो सर।
Yes, yes.
सर जैसे सर ब्लॉकचेन में जैसे ये मतलब ब्लॉक्स के चेन है, तो सर हर ब्लॉक पे जरूरी है कि सेम डाटा हो?
नहीं, ये ब्लॉक्स का चेन टाइम के थ्रू ट्रैवल करता है ना, तो मतलब प्रीवियस ब्लॉक में कुछ अलग डेटा है। लाइक सपोज हम 100 लोग वो ब्लॉकचेन पे हैं, ट्रांजैक्शंस कर रहे हैं, तो उन सब ने कुछ कुछ ट्रांजैक्शंस कर लिए हैं, और उन सब ट्रांजैक्शंस का डेटा एक ब्लॉक बन के माइनर्स के पास जाता है, जो वैलिडेट कर रहे हैं कि ये सही डेटा है कि नहीं डेटा है। सो दे गिव द कंप्यूटिंग पावर और देयर इक्विटी एंड स्टफ। सो वो वेरीफाई करने के बाद एक ब्लॉक क्रिएट होता है, तो दैट ब्लॉक इज इक्वल टू ऑल द ट्रांजैक्शंस दैट हैपेंड इन दैट ब्लॉक क्रिएशन टाइम, एंड उसके बाद लॉक हो जाता है वो ब्लॉकचेन पे। अभी नेक्स्ट सेट ऑफ ट्रांजैक्शंस जो नेक्स्ट 100 या नेक्स्ट 1000 होते हैं, उनके सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस वेरीफाई होके लेजर पे ब्लॉक, एक और ब्लॉक बनता है व्हिच गेट्स अटैच्ड। सो ऐसे सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस हिस्ट्री में तुम देख सकते हो, एंड हर चीज में अलग अलग डेटा है, बट दे आर लिंक्ड टू ईच अदर, एंड जो भी ये ब्लॉकचेन नेटवर्क पे है वो पब्लिकली देख सकता है ये सारा डेटा। सो दैट वे सारा ह्यूमंस मिलके जो भी ब्लॉकचेन में है, they are verifying if transaction सही हो रहा है कि गलत हो रहा है. So it's foolproof. You don't have to have one bank manager with one server in some country which could be hacked by hackers, and like recently banks में हुआ था ना, you can just, a bank got hacked and 15 lakh चले गए वहां से just by changing the data in the Excel sheets that they have there in their laptops and stuff. So yeah, so that's the thing. The data अलग अलग होता है over time, but data सबको same दिखता है. That's the
Okay.
truth. Anyone else? Any other questions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have heard that there is a limit to the amount of bitcoins that we could mine. Like
Yes.
200 or so bitcoins could be mined,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So the miners were mining the bitcoin because they were gaining out of it, right?
Yes. तो point is कि बाद में भी give me 1 second. Yes, I'm back. So yeah, so you're saying but Bitcoin, it's like an infinitely never-ending slope, right? So as you go into the time, less and less Bitcoins gets produced in the network, but the value of the Bitcoin continuously goes up because more people are using that Bitcoins. So that way, even if future may, whenever the miners are mining them, even if it is little amount of Bitcoin, it's the value is super large. And for a lot of time, new Bitcoins will be coming up, but it will be in very fractional in nature. But the value is still high because more and more humans will be getting onto that. So it's in deflationary token, like it just stops at one point. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes.
सर माइनर्स वही होता है ना सर जो लिक्विडिटी प्रोवाइड करते हैं सर?
Yes, exactly. They are the ones. One second. So yeah, sorry guys, sorry for that disturbance. Somebody came over. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, miners यही होते हैं जो liquidity provide करते हैं, who verify, who authenticate कि जो transactions हो रहे हैं कि सही हो रहे हैं कि नहीं हो रहे हैं. They are the ones who provide the computing power to the entire blockchain. So yeah, so now moving on, right? Now I already mentioned how assets can be online and they can be decentralized or decentralized. Similarly, your data, right? Your internet's data can be centralized or decentralized. So that's the big differentiator which created this new generation of internet, which is Web3, which is the third generation of internet, which is decentralized in nature. In Web 2, the websites or applications that you used, you could read and write from that applications, right? You could play games, order Swiggy, order Uber, all the things, commands you could give the internet uh, was existent, but it is centralized in nature. There was one company, one data set, was just controlling the entire app. With the Web3, which is built on blockchain layer ones and layer twos, what happens is the data is again not controlled by one entity, but it is on the blockchain, and the network is supported by all the people that are part of that community. So that's the third generation of internet that we are currently seeing. So blockchain is not just doing a financial sort of a revolution; it's also doing a internet sort of a revolution too. So blockchain is this thing which is changing, which is creating a new age of internet and finance. So these are the two things that you'll also have to keep in mind as you build or look out for this space. Uh, any questions about Web 1, Web 2, Web 3 at this point?
So why it is Web3 or just it is a third generation?
So yeah, it's basically Web 3 was the first type of internet where you could only read from the internet, right? You couldn't write anything or give commands to the internet. That was the 10 years, 1995, say 2004 types. In 2004 is when Web 2 started off, where applications started coming up where you could write on the internet. Write on the internet, matlab upload videos, type on the internet, type a blog, search all your Facebook, Amazon, all your applications that you know, right? Uber, Zomato, all of them are like Web 2 sort of applications and internet. Now, Web 3 internet is you can read and write on that internet, but it is not centralized. It is being backed by a blockchain. So people can own a piece of internet because it's decentralized in nature. So yeah, that's the difference. It's like generations of internet.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, during the Web 2 phase, big corporations were owning the data, right? So they
Mhm.
were also managing and handling the data,
Yes.
and
They're
they were
not doing anything wrong. They're
cost,
doing
right?
it. Yes.
So in Web 3, who will be bearing the cost?
People, like whoever is part of the network, right? The blockchain will be uh, supported by the miners and stuff, right? So you'll be taking transaction costs every time you transact currencies and data on this platform. You deploy smart contracts or run applications, you'll be paying transactions fees for every transaction you do. So
Okay.
it's primarily for the transactions on the internet, not the entire data set won't be on blockchains, right? Your data, you can again put your data in a backup decentralized servers, which are like clouds and stuff. But your transactional data, your details about which transaction is happening and which file is being transferred, all these things can be on blockchain.
So it will be much like pay per minute.
Pay per minute.
Like during calling in the previous time when used to call, so we will pay as per the number of minutes we talk, right?
Oh man, this is actually a good, cool idea. We can actually start you can actually start building a product out of this right away and see if this is beneficial for people or how the unit economics works. Actually, yes. So that's a good thing. Any other points before I move on? It's cool, yes, cool. So now Web 3.0, right? It's the third generation of the internet, and you must be hearing all of these terms when you in the news and the articles or the social media, right? The cryptocurrencies, NFT, DeFi, DAO, GameFi, Metaverse. So all these things already were existent in the Web 2 era and even before that too, right? But they had different ways. You should use the same applications, but in a different format. You used to call them different things. So now, what do you think the alternative cryptocurrencies were? Which you were already using? Yes, this is pretty straightforward. The answer is in the word itself, cryptocurrencies. What happened to Shaurya? This is a straightforward answer, buddy.
So money we were
Yeah,
using.
it's money. Now NFTs, right? What were the previous versions of NFTs that were existent? NFTs are non-fungible tokens, right? Unique assets, unique digital assets. So what are the unique?
Yeah, it's like Dhoni's hitting six like World Cup final with a bat, and that bat is a specific bat
Yes, that
in the
bat is.
whole world.
Yes,
So
yes,
that will
perfect.
have a unique value. That's an NFT in the real life.
Yes, perfect. Exactly. And all other assets, right? Every unique thing is an NFT, right? And the human is an NFT in that way. If you look at, it's a physical asset, but if you look at it, it is that, right? Your cars, your
Yeah,
limited edition cars, watches, your art, paintings, right? Also your land details. Your lands are NFTs. They're limited in nature and they're fixed place. They're irreplaceable. Something, some other piece of land. So all your certifications also, right? Your birth certificates, degree certificates, all of them are unique and they are fixed in nature. They cannot be imitatable by anything else. So maybe they might not, all of them might not be assets, but they are unique and non-fungible in nature. So now coming to your DeFi, right? What is DeFi firstly, and what is it replacing, or what was the previous version of that?
it's a decentralized finance.
Yes.
Uh, Basically, it is being built on blockchain.
So
So
now what is
our
the, yeah? What's
yeah,
the previous version of that? Centralized finance, right? And what
centralized finance. Yeah.
Yes.
what is
Yeah, like
finance?
banking servers, unique, as I mentioned, like SBI banking server. So
Yes,
maybe it's a centralized finance system where
exactly.
the whole finance is being governed by a single entity, maybe
Yes,
HDFC
yes.
Bank, maybe anyone. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. And not just that, all your services also, right? Like your credit card, debit card, your loans,
yeah,
your EMIs, and all your mutual funds, stocks, chit funds, fixed deposits, gold loans, loans, car loans, all these services which are in terms of money and assets, right? All these was like done by centralized entities and they were centralized finance companies. Your Bajaj Finance, Muthoot Finance, Manappuram Gold, and all your banks, all your different types of banks. So all these were like centralized finance entities and doing centralized finance within themselves. So DeFi is all the decentralized finance applications on Web 3.0. And coming to DAO, right? What do you think DAO is and what is the previous version of that? So it's basically a decentralized autonomous organization. So previously there were centralized organizations, right? Like all your board of directors who are governing body of a company, all your government entities which used to govern things. So all these were your governing bodies were centralized in nature. But on the Web3, you can have decentralized governing bodies where all the people of the network can autonomously like dictate terms of how the company or the network should grow and things like that. So that's the DAO for you. Now GameFi, what do you think GameFi is? Basically GameFi is game and something related to finance, right? You're earning through games. So way from history, you knew sports were similar, right? You show off your one specific skill and win tournaments, and tournaments had money within that. Then came all your esports, right, where highly challenging video games were put in tournament structures, and if you won the tournaments, you would win money. Then came all your real money gaming games, right? Fantasy sports, your small challenges online, which you can like all your team patti, your poker, your table tennis. There's so many digital games which you could earn money while playing those games and winning those games. Now the blockchain version of that is the blockchain play to earn games, where not only winning matters, but just spending time is enough to win rewards and win money in real time basis. So that's the entire GameFi thing that blockchain is empowering. And then finally, you have the metaverse, right? Which is literally replacing your real world, right? You're creating a virtual world and doing all the things like commerce, social media, watching sports, going to concerts, listening to friends, speaking to friends. All of them you do in a virtual world with your avatar, with your 3D model world, with maybe advanced things like AR, VR, and things like that. So that's your replacement, right? And similarly in Web3, the cryptocurrencies are not just replacing money, they're also replacing equity, right? Like every company has equity and shares. So the shares are nothing but cryptocurrencies in the Web3 world. So if you were an Uber launching an app now, you would rather issue Uber tokens rather than issuing Uber shares by going to a IPO process and stuff. So you do an ICO process in crypto. So typically how you launch companies is have an idea, create this entire structure for your business plan, then launch a token, have a token name which is equivalent to shares of your company, get some funding from private folks, then list yourself in exchanges by doing an ICO, and then you keep getting some inflated tokens every month because of the contract that you initially deployed, and then you can use your tokens to like reward community and basically gain more users and grow your community by paying your developers or like the marketing folks, your management team, your advisors, your users, all of them will be holding the tokens. So holding the token is basically owning the company also. But also it's useful because you can use it on the app. So that way you're launching a currency and a company together in the form of the cryptocurrencies. So that's how in Web 3.0 you can own a company by owning a token of a company. So this is entire story about Web3 and A to Z. I covered all of them in short period of time. I missed a lot of things and I exaggerated at places, but feel free to ask me any questions you have at this point about the tech and the all these buzzwords. Cool. If you don't have any questions at this point, right? Uh, Firstly, do you have any questions, or all your questions are clear at this point? I mean, you might be confused about these terms, but you can definitely check them out later. But any conceptual questions that you have at this point?
Excuse me,
Sir,
sir.
Yeah.
Sir, like you said about the ICO and like tokenization of the companies.
Mm-hmm.
So right now we are dealing with shares, and whenever there is some kind of fraud or something disruption in the system, we usually approach to some central authority like Supreme
Yes.
Court or something. But there
Yes.
would not be any supreme authority in this whole ecosystem.
Yes.
So won't it pose a problem?
It's a choice, right? So it's a different trust system. Currently, if you look at the news, right, you see the head of National Stock Exchange hired a Baba as a chief strategy officer for the entire country, and that person was being paid to CR, which was like 30 times more than the normal salary there, right? So that was happening, and you don't know how is that not. You just blindly have trust over humans, right? And we think humans are better, but here the same thing you're doing it. The back end is being controlled by the tech. Front end is you're the decision making power, right? If you think this asset is, if this company is doing good work, right, you can do the due diligence, right? Why are you putting money on that company? Because you think the company is doing well, right? How, what are the metrics? You see the community, you see the app, all the transactions are on the blockchain. There will be people who will be asking questions to the company. They'll be tracking the price. See, if you're using that token more, the token price is bound to go up. So if the you can see the history, the entire data, all the transactions of where the tokens are going, who is controlling it, how is it controlling. Now, because all the data is public, you don't need a central authority to create a data set and make do the fraud analysis and all of that, right? Because what happens, right? What does Supreme Court do in case of fraud, right? They go ask the banks to give data and check the data, right? But in case of a decentralized token, the token data is already public. So at every point in time, every person can be continuously checking if any fraud is happening or not, because the data is public. Right? The transaction data is public, unlike your private companies. All your transactions with your Amazon, we can never check, right? How much fraud is Amazon doing? Nobody can do it. Nobody can check unless and until you have a case, you put a law, then the Amazon has to give its data to, and then somebody analyzes the data and sees if it's fraud or not, right? But in case of blockchain, all these transactions are anyways public. So your company is public, your operations are public. It's you who makes a decision. And if you're getting fooled by fake marketing campaigns or some fake things like click here to win Bitcoin and you're clicking and sharing some passwords and stuff. So all these things can happen. These are scam tokens and shit tokens. They exist. But it's basically a mimic, right? It's like an internet prank sort of a thing. And if you're falling for that, responsibility is completely on you. There is, you don't have, why cry to some person when you are the person who's making the decision and paying for something like that, right? So yeah, the transparency what makes this thing a bit more secure, and but people need to be educated. Education is compulsory here. One, a lot of scams can happen till a lot of people get educated here.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes. Cool. Then, finally, right, TIAR. What do we do in TIAR? Right, we're building a metaverse of our own, which will have various elements that you guys use in your daily life, like watching sports, uh, like going to the social media, speaking to friends, uploading content, similarly playing games online, or like buying some stuff online, e-commerce. All these things will be available on our metaverse, right? There will be areas where you'll be having your avatar going around, speaking to people, playing games, earning tokens, watching games, earning tokens, uploading content, earning tokens. So it's an economy of its own. It's a digital economy run by our digital token, which is TIR token, and it's like a mini world where people, developers, marketers, interns, everybody can have this token as a reward for contributing to this network. So, so then there are all the ways that this earning opportunities are created on this metaverse. So these are all the metrics and ways one can participate and earn money on this just by playing, just by uploading content. Like you can put your startup ideas and see if you can get funded by the community. You can watch live streams of your games. So there are a lot of things that you can do. And then also you have your marketing opportunities where you can where you can upload content, explore content, recommend some suggestions for you to buy. So this is where the entire ecosystem is connected, and yeah. So yeah, and also we have a
Hello?
reputation, you get
Uh,
better rights. Yes.
there is a lag from your side, I
Yes,
guess.
sir.
Oh, sorry. Is this better or?
Yes, sir. Good.
Yeah, so this is the entire concept of karma, that when you have higher voting powers on various decisions that the network will take eventually. Yeah, so these were all the things that I had to tell. This was the boxing event which we actually hosted. This was our first community that we built through boxing. So yeah, that's about it. I'll just wait for a few more minutes and see if you guys have any questions or queries. I'll be happy to answer. If not, yeah. Also, guys, I'll be sharing few links in the chat. So these are linked to my Discord channel where we keep speaking about this place. We will start a community building. This will be the core center where all the things will be updated. And yeah, if anybody likes to internships or any other opportunities in the Web3 space, I'll be posting it on this Discord server. At the same time, you can feel free to follow me or send me a request on LinkedIn. Happy to chat or get an intern in any companies or give you any career advice or anything you want to have that, you can always ping me on the LinkedIn, right? So yeah, before I go out, if anybody has any final questions, feel free to ask me or else I'll, yeah, take a leave.
Sir, I have
Uh,
one question.
Yeah, go for it.
How did you get the idea of blockchain technology?
Uh, I mean, it has been there. I've been hearing about blockchain for like since 2000, like 16, but never was active part of that. But when my friend came and told me this entire idea that this exists, you can do all these things. So I was like, okay, cool. This is something cool I can work and build. And then studied more, studied all the white papers that exist out there, what other applications are doing, look at the market and all that stuff. So you'll understand, you start understanding things. So I'm just still learning, 6 months old. So it's still too early for the entire industry to, like, there are just 30,000 applications out there. Scope is much more. So yeah, anybody can just get in, keep reading, keep watching blogs or anything, you'll understand.
Okay,
uh,
sir. Nice.
I wanna know your take on something like what do you see of this blockchain whole entire system for a long run, like as conventionally conventional, what is the conventional process we always trust, we have to trust a centralized entity which holds like more of a power to solve maybe human disputes. We elect a government and we rely on the law, we rely on the Supreme Court because they are something central to solve maybe human disputes or maybe something है ना, to which holds more power ताकि चीजें सही से रहें. बट इट इज अ गुड साइन कि जो मेरा डेटा है वो मेरे पास है, मेरी प्रिवेसी कहीं से इंट्रूड नहीं हो रही है, सारी चीजें ट्रांसपेरेंट है. बट ऑन द अदर साइड कैन इट हैव एनी नेगेटिव इफेक्ट बिकॉज मेजोरिटी के पास पावर आ रही है. तो लाइक व्हाट्स योर टेक ऑन दैट?
To be honest, negative sides honge, and we'll always know it when they'll happen, right? So, well, that's one thing about future and things, right? And technology, especially, right? Technology it's just is technology, right? It's up to humans what they make of it. People will make powerful weapons out of it. People will make powerful solutions out of it. So, any technology comes with all the good points and the bad points, and vision how society keeps failing, systems around it keep coming into power, which ensures the system doesn't fail again, right? So be it coronavirus or crypto virus, for example. So the same thing happened. Bad behavior in crypto markets will be punished. That's what crypto has gone through in 2017-18 when it crashed. People were doing frauds and scams. Then the bubble burst. Things became much more sensible. People invest much more sensible now. And now there is another push, one more wave where more people will come into this technology, right? Now, as more people come in, more literacy happens, more some sort of frauds might happen. But again, your governments and your physical entities might start stepping in, take more precautionary steps, more checkpoints to enter and stuff. So yeah, eventually it will find the sweet spot, right? So it's a natural evolution. You can't say that it'll only be good. It'll have bad things with it too. But yeah, humans will deal with it. That's what has happened over time.
Okay, I get it. There's one more question. How do I start using? How do I start going in the blockchain development? What are the prerequisites? How do I start and क्या
So
चाहिए उसके
firstly,
लिए?
yeah, very basic things is start firstly being part of communities, right? Be it the finance communities, be it the gaming communities, be it the just crypto news communities, right? Start reading about how the market is working so that you just get the business sense and get the insights of why people are using this technology. So if you know the why, you'll know how you'll be able to answer the how of anything, right? Why का answer first लेके आओ by just basic market analysis, by being a user, and then start thinking like a builder, right? Okay, how do I market it, how do I sell it, if it's the business point of view. And if you are the tech person, then think about what tech stack is going. You typically use all your web dev tech stacks for building the applications, but you deploy your smart contracts on this coding language called Solidity, right? It's similar to your JavaScript. It's not super difficult. It's pretty straightforward. So if you're a normal web developer, you should be able to enter the blockchain development aspect of it very smoothly without a lot of hassle. Take up internships. There are a lot of companies coming up. Anybody will be willing to take you as an intern, even if you know very basic thing about क्या हो रहा है sector, man. If you are interested in development, they'll just give an opportunity to take their problem solve and then learn on the go and develop products for them. So yeah, it's still new. You can keep trying for your internships, be a user, maybe start taking up online courses, right? There are a lot of good courses on Coursera or EDX where both the coding part of it and the tech part of it and the history of it and the business aspects of it, everything is present. So yeah.
Okay, so I haven't explored programming बहुत ज़्यादा. Even I don't know बहुत ज़्यादा about web development. I just know basic coding, basic Java and stuff. So can I directly move into the Solidity and blockchain
Yes,
development?
yes, yes, you can shouldn't be a problem.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
perfect.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
thank you so much.
No worries.
Hello.
Yes.
So in DApp, we are deploying the smart contracts. That is there any limit how many smart contracts can be
No,
deployed?
it's about depends on the blockchain is eternal, right? It keeps becoming growing, but the transaction fees might go up if more people are using that servers and stuff. But there are again more solutions that come around the higher transaction fee. Whenever you deploy a smart contract, you have to pay some transaction fee, and then the blockchain will be used in that manner. And every time some transactions happen, you will be have to pay that transaction fees to the blockchain. So that's all the cost that you'll have to bear as things go forward. डिप्लॉइंग के टाइम ट्रांजैक्शन फी लगता है और उसके बाद रनिंग के टाइम जब भी कुछ ट्रांजैक्शन हो रहा है ब्लॉकचेन के साथ थ्रू द नेटिव टोकन और योर टोकन ट्रांजैक्शन फी कटता रहेगा.
So वो फी किसके पास जाती है?
The blockchain जो माइनर्स होते हैं and then that's how the thing happens, right? नया टोकन जनरेट होता है.
Okay.
Yes.
Sir, I have a question.
Go for it.
Yes, sir. Sir, are there any chances that a blockchain will become necessary for everyone one day?
Yes, there are highly chances that because suppose even if you're using maybe not directly or indirectly करेंगे, if currently you're using banks, right? All banks will start using blockchains for transactions and stuff. Maybe that is between banks or between the RBI and banks. Already use हो रहा है. They'll become more, and then your other data platforms, your data security platforms will start using blockchain for that. So there are a lot of applications. If not directly, indirectly, to use करना already चालू कर लिए majority of us in some or the other way. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
No worries.
In recent budget session, they introduced something digital rupee. So what is
That's-
that? Is it a decentralized thing or it is a centralized thing? Blockchain पे चलता है क्या है?
So yeah, it's basically the same blockchain technology. It's a digital rupee, but it's not a store of value. It's store of exchange, right? Unlike money where you can accumulate, you can't accumulate this digital rupee because it'll come with some sort of an expiry date, I guess.
Okay.
Hello.
So all these people can be able to transact via rupees because this digital currency will come into play. You don't need not have an Aadhaar card to access the financial system. So that's how government is going to utilize it. But given that we already have UPI, which is super powerful, it's not that good for financial tool. But for countries like Philippines where they carry in bags to buy anything in boats, for them it's a blessing, right? Because they didn't have UPI. Directly they are coming to blockchain, which has much more penetration than UPI and banks too. So that way many countries in the world will be crazily benefited, and everybody will have their own centralized blockchain based currencies at one point because it's much more efficient and more penetrable and safer, like I mentioned.
Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Bye bye. Any other things, guys? If not, I'll take a leave.
Yes, sir. It was indeed a great experience learning from you.
Thanks
We
a lot,
hope
guys.
yes, sir. We hope the audience enjoyed learning as much as we did.
Yes, thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We would now like
Thank
to
you,
wrap
sir.
up. Yes, sir.
Thanks.
We would now like to wrap the session up on a contented note. We would encourage everyone to keep in touch with E-CELL for more such events. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.